want reality TV? Follow us as we show you the side of police chase videos you normally don't see. Wild arrest, kamikaze crooks, and some of the most intense moments caught on video. Next on Hot Pursuit. Most police veterans are familiar with the PIT maneuver. PIT stands for Precision Intervention Technique. It basically just involves ramming your cruiser into a suspect's vehicle to make it crash. Watch here as this cop plans to use the maneuver to stop this shoplifter. First, when the cruiser attempts to ram him at a junction, the crook slips by him by turning right. And when the cruiser eventually catches up, the suspect uses a clever zigzagging technique to avoid the police once again. The robber tries the same right turn trick as before, but this time the officer is wise to the tactic. So next time the runaway tries turning left instead. The trooper is persistent, however, and sticks firmly to his tail, even when the crook demonstrates some of the trickiest maneuvers possible. But this cop is quite the driver himself and pulls a dangerous stunt by attempting to make contact with a suspect's vehicle at an intersection, carefully making sure not to hit other vehicles on the road. Still, the fugitive slips away. By now, though, this cop is getting closer and closer until he makes one final attempt to take this guy out. And that's exactly what he does. This guy had some serious driving skills, but in the end, he got taken down. Chief Dave Agler of the Sugar Creek Police Department in Missouri has pulled over the guy in this truck on suspicion of drunk driving. But no textbook can prepare him for the events that this evening is about to bring. The suspect gets out of his truck looking clearly disheveled, but Chief Agler continues to bravely initiate standard procedure. The suspect listens to Chief Agler's instructions and doesn't do badly. Unfortunately, we can't hear what the chief is telling him, but whatever it is, this guy obviously doesn't like it. Ah! Now the gloves are off, and despite the fact that there's a gun pointed at him, the suspect lunges at the policeman and gives him a piece of his mind. Ignoring the officer's instructions, the man gets back into his car and casually drives away. After a brief chase, the suspect suddenly stops his vehicle again, and the suspect gets out of his car once again.
Target down on the ground! Do it now! Do it now! Target on the ground!
As the man walks back to his car, Chief Agler can do nothing to stop him. This time, the chase leads Chief Agler down a series of creepy back roads and onto one of the most infamous streets in Ohio.
Be advised of turning on to Spooky Hollow Road.
A little further down the road, another cruiser joins the chase. Unfortunately, the dark roads get the better of Chief Dave and his partner, and the suspect gets away. Next on Hot Pursuit, this drunk driver is totally insane.
My mom is the devil.
And another driver thinks he's a Hollywood stuntman.
105 North Avenue 52.
DUI stands for driving under the influence, just an easier way to say drunk driving. Cops can often spot a DUI simply by the way they're driving.
He's revving his truck up like he's having some problems getting it out into second gear.
When police see an out-of-control truck like this, they can virtually guarantee the guy behind the wheel has way too much booze in his system. It's time to pull over the potential suspect to see if the cop's suspicions are correct. To establish the suspect's alcohol level, police have come up with a series of physical sobriety tests. A breathalyzer is always the second course of action. First, police usually ask a series of questions.
How you doing, pal? Do you have your driver's license and insurance with you today? Okay, I need you to take it out of your, how much have you had to drink tonight?
At this point, suspects usually try to mislead the police into believing they're sober.
I've had a beer, sir.
A beer or so, just one beer?
Next, the officer asks the suspect to get out of his vehicle.
Tell you what, why don't you step out for me?
Police then proceed to test the suspect's cognitive abilities.
Mr. Sheffield, do you know your alphabet?
B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and so forth. Yeah.
Can you count backwards for me?
Not really.
Not really?
During these tests, police usually hear this key phrase.
It's okay. I'm not drunk.
Okay, well, why don't we go
What
find
this
out?
usually means is, I am totally drunk. Arrest me now. And the cops do just that, taking this suspect into custody.
Why don't you step back here for me?
Not all police chases involve hair-raising high-speed pursuits. In Iowa, for example, we join cops on a chase which has been reaching speeds of only 20 miles per hour. There's not an awful lot the frustrated troopers can do. As the suspect leads them through the back roads, all they can do is sit behind him as he painstakingly proceeds for several miles. They just carry on pursuing him through the night, very slowly. The chase seems to go on forever, and just when the cops thought the pursuit couldn't get any slower, the drunk driver grinds to a virtual standstill. The truck is still moving forward, just barely. In this drunk's mind, he probably thinks he's gotten away. Eventually, the suspect is driving so slowly that he may as well come to a full stop. So he makes a friendly, waving gesture and pulls over to the side of the road. This guy is obviously drunk, so perhaps he's ready to just give up. So, when the cops finally get him out of his truck and into custody, they waste absolutely no time in restraining him. Nobody's sure exactly what's going on, but from the look on his face, this guy doesn't look too happy. The man is surprisingly honest when the cops ask him the million-dollar question.
Yes, I have, sir. How much you have to drink?
This driver isn't going to get himself a speeding ticket, but he's definitely going to get a DUI on his record and some jail time for drunk driving and resisting arrest. The magic of the movies makes some people think crazy stunts are possible. But the guy in the car ahead is about to get a very painful reminder of what happens when you try to pull off Hollywood-style tricks in real life. Wanted for a variety of driving violations, the man in this car leads police on a chase that lasts several miles. But all of a sudden, the suspect does the unthinkable. At 40 miles an hour, he decides to bail out and tumbles headfirst onto the pavement. If this was an episode of the A-Team, the suspect would just pick himself up and dust himself off. But it isn't. And the man has hurt himself very badly. Amazingly, he's not finished yet. Even after he's dragged to the side of the road and cuffed, the suspect still finds the energy for an escape attempt. But the cops know that this guy isn't going anywhere in the state he's in. They read him his rights, though somehow we don't think he'll be too interested in them. What he needs right now is an ambulance and a new pair of knees. So the next time you watch a blockbuster Hollywood movie, remember, those stuntmen get paid a fortune for a reason. And no matter how easy they may make it look, don't try it at home. Ever wondered who's responsible for those mysterious crop circles? Maybe it's not little green men at all. Perhaps it's people like this runaway Colorado crook here, who's decided the best way to escape the cops is to take a convenient shortcut through a field.
Went through a fence.
But it's not long before he off-roads once again to churn up more of this year's harvest. For a brief instant, the chase becomes relatively normal when the fugitive finds a regular road to drive on. But determined to carry on his tradition of unconventional escape methods, he decides to pretend he's a conductor and takes to the railroad tracks.
Holy smokes. May get hairy here in a minute. Lost his tailgate.
And you don't have to be Einstein to figure out that this might be a very bad idea.
Took out part of the bridge on the railroad.
Thankfully, there aren't any real trains around to spoil this runaway's fun. It looks like commuters can expect delays on this line for quite some time. As if he's bored with his truck, the suspect finds a nice place to park and takes the opportunity to stretch his legs. Like some kind of demented Rambo, the half-naked criminal heads into the cover of some bushes. Out of sight and obviously out of his mind, it looks for a second like he might have gotten away. But the camera operator spots him again.
There he is, in the water. In the water.
But he doesn't make a very big splash. In fact, the suspect seems to be running out of stupid things to do. So as he gets out of the water, he gives a big friendly wave to the cops in the chopper. This fugitive has nowhere else to run. So when the police turn up, he demonstrates that in certain situations, it's easier to just lie down. While the man is being cuffed and read his rights, the man whose farm has been ruined appears on the scene, shotgun in hand. This crop circle criminal obviously came from the wrong side of the tracks. But when he finally ran out of steam, he just laid down and took his punishment. Coming up, you're never too old to be a menace to society, and justice is delivered to these mail thieves. When you're a cop, danger could come at you from any angle at any time. You could, for example, be on routine patrol when someone unexpectedly attempts to mow you down with their car. Seen in slow motion, the moment of impact may only look like a light graze, but it's enough to make this officer angry. He immediately runs back to his cruiser to chase down the assailant. Sirens blaring, the cop quickly zeroes in on his target. The trooper soon tracks down the guilty vehicle and forces it to pull over onto the shoulder. He cautiously approaches the suspect's car, bracing himself for the worst. The officer confronts the older man and starts to give him a piece of his mind. It's not long before the suspect's female friend makes herself known. Eventually, the couple is charged with 2 traffic violations, failure to maintain proper control, and leaving the scene of an accident. Rather than make an arrest, however, the cop decides that a large fine is punishment enough. As for the wounded officer, he'll be fine. It shouldn't take him long to recover. This cop's brush with death sends him on a mission to track down the perpetrator. But it turns out that the one who's really lucky to still be alive is the senior citizen responsible for the hit and run. Erratic driving is usually a telltale sign that someone is full of booze. This guy is certainly driving under the influence of something, but it becomes crystal clear that this guy's consumed something else besides just a couple of light beers. As if possessed, the man struggles with the police, uttering complete gibberish in the process. Somehow, the officer manages to get the cuffs on and maintain an arm lock, but the constant ranting shows no sign of easing up. Finally, the man shuts up, and the trooper is able to question the passenger.
What is he on?
It turns out that this guy is on PCP, a hardcore drug that can cause wild hallucinations. It might also be why he isn't making an awful lot of sense.
Give me a little piece. A little piece, please. Don't stop. Okay. Don't bring no one.
While he holds on tight and waits for backup, the trooper is subjected to even more incoherent babbling from the suspect.
Lord in heaven, that all good. I like my brother's way. I'm young.
Keep your hands where they can be seen.
I'm young. I'm young.
Help finally arrives, and just before the cops take him away, the man offers his explanation.
My mom is the devil. David is my father.
He's not going without a fight, though, and it takes 4 cops to get him into the back of a squad car. Next on Hot Pursuit, a woman's car goes out of control. And this kid goes for a roll in the snow. Frisking usually helps police establish whether a suspect is concealing something illegal or dangerous.
Stay back here for me just a second.
As the suspect exits his vehicle, police make sure to keep one hand near their gun in case the suspect has a weapon. They approach the man asking a few simple questions.
You ain't had nothing to drink, have you? No, I just bought me a seat. Huh?
Unfortunately, they don't get any coherent answers.
He's not that ready to license come on, man. Okay. You mind taking a couple field sobriety tests for me? If everything checks out, you'll be on your way. Blowing the tube. Huh? I'm blowing that tube real quick, bro. You're blowing the tube? Yeah. I don't have a tube. What I do is a field sobriety test. All right.
As police talk with their suspect, they keep their eyes peeled for suspicious bulges. Here's where frisking skills come in handy. The officer appears to come across something questionable, so he decides to check it out. This only provokes the suspect into doing something really stupid, like trying to run away from police and resisting arrest. Backup arrives on the scene to help out. As they attempt to restrain him, the man's clothes begin slipping off. Unfortunately for police, the suspect has also slipped their grip. It's highly doubtful they'll be able to catch him at this point. Police have heard some pretty bad excuses over the course of time, but the driver swerving this car all over the South Carolina highway is about to take the cake. The police assume they've got yet another DUI case on their hands and try to pull the vehicle over. But apparently this driver's not stopping for anyone. At least not until the cops blow out the vehicle's front tires. The troopers are ready for a confrontation with a difficult drunk driver, or maybe even a hardened crook on the run. Instead, what they get is this.
Turn around. I turn around. I turn around. I didn't do that. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Come on over here, ma'am. Come on over here toward my car.
Hey, let's hurry up and get out of the road.
Can I get my shoe?
Apparently, none of this was any of her fault.
What's the matter?
I don't know. I just started driving to a car and it just took off. I didn't do anything to it.
A crowd of cops gathers to hear her story.
What happened? I don't know. It just went out of control.
It was slow down and speed up, but it wouldn't stop.
It wouldn't stop. I tried to get it to stop, and I was scared somebody was going to shoot me. I'm not drunk or anything.
If this woman is telling the truth, her van's cruise control suddenly developed a mind of its own, and she lost control.
It just went out of control.
But when the crying woman reveals where she was headed,
Where you heading to?
I want to go to church.
the cops let her off the hook and allow her to continue her journey.
Where's that at?
In snowy Ohio, the 2 young crooks in the vehicle ahead are being pulled over for stealing from people's mailboxes. It turns out the kid behind the wheel should really know better. His father is a high-ranking local deputy sheriff. But it appears as though he doesn't exactly want to stick around and talk to the cops. Having a policeman for a dad means the fugitive is already well-versed in the art of annoying the cops. He's aware of which buttons to push and proceeds to leave them in the dust. At this point, he's got to know that the police are probably quite angry. It's almost as if the delinquent driver is rebelling against his own father by annoying the cops as much as possible. He sails right through the cop's attempt to ram him off the road. So the trooper on his tail starts ordering him to pull over.
Pull over, now!
Predictably, this has little effect. Instead, the runaway weaves his way through traffic, while the pursuing officer gets stuck in it. But however good he is at the tricks of his father's trade, this kid's joyride can't go on forever. He tries to evade another police spike strip thrown into his path. But in doing so, he skids on the icy roads and he sends his vehicle careening into a snowy embankment. He won't be going straight to jail, however, not because of any family favoritism, but because he'll probably spend some time in the hospital first. Daddy isn't going to be happy when he finds out what Junior's been up to. But after going for a spin and ending up in the snow, we're sure he'll consider turning over a new leaf.